Hello and welcome to the next video of my LTA South, LTA North America's preview. FURIA is next. FURIA currently are ranked first going into this season, which is going to shock a lot of people because they, Payne and Loud and things like that, and Red and whomever, did better than them last season. But FURIA have formed a pretty strong roster based on stats from last year, and that's how they end up first. This is 100% based off of stats and not an opinion of, oh well, these teams do well and this and that. No, so it's about. First, the last 3 seasons, FURIA have finished fourth and third in 2022, but that only got worse from there. In 2023, fourth and seventh. In 2024, ninth and fifth. So this team has definitely struggled to get to the upper echelon of CBLOL, and now with 8 teams in LTA South, we'll see how they do. In top lane, you have Gigo. Gigo played with Vivo Keat Stars last year, I believe, and Vivo Keat Stars had one of the better, I think they were the best team in the regular season outright when you combine both splits. Had a 2.8 KDA, 57.1 KP, 8 CS per minute, very standard numbers here. Pretty decent kill participation. Now, 2.3% share differential provided his squad 2.3% more damage share than gold share, indicating more of a carry-oriented top laner, and a 1.52 ROI. So very aggressive, and he's going to pack a punch. 230 gold ahead, 2.95 vision efficiency, which is vision score divided by wards placed. Pretty standard numbers there. 18 champions in 71 games. This stat line ranks him third in his role going into this season. 22 years old. K'Sante, Renekton, and Gnar, only 37% of his champion usage, which is notable because a lot of these teams and a lot of these top laners are 45%, 50%. I've seen all the way up to 88%, where players will really key on 3 champions, not really go outside of that box. Sure, they may play 10 champions in 40 games, would only play 3 of the champions 35% of the 35 games or something crazy like that. I don't think that math works out, but you get my point where they only really play 3 champions, and very rarely do they go outside of that. Gigo, on the other hand, pretty wide champion usage. Tatu in the jungle, a young prospect, one of the best prospects in CBLOL from what I understand, joining from Payne Gaming Academy, 18 years old. Currently ranked last in his role because of this. We'll see how he does when he gets to tier 1. And even despite this, the team still grades out as the best one. So it's a real interesting situation to have, that we could say, oh well, Ayu isn't the best AD carrier, JoJo isn't the second best support in CBLOL or LTA South or whatever this year. But the point is, well, even if they're third or fourth, if Tatu is fifth or fourth in his role, it's all going to even out to being still the best team. So it's an interesting thought experiment there. With Payne Gaming Academy, he made things happen. A 5.5 KDA, but a 75 KP and 6 CS per minute. So we had a carry-oriented meta last season, but he didn't really take that on, at least from a resource perspective, and just kind of made things happen for his team. We saw 3 of those players join Fluxo, so the fact of the matter is that Payne Gaming Academy roster was pretty damn good. And we'll see how important Tatu was to that when he joins FURIA. Negative 2.6 share differential and a 1.19 ROI, so dealt a lot of damage for his team. And that's in part due to how good that team was. All of them were dealing damage. 155 gold ahead, had 4.17 vision score per ward placed. 16 champions, 72 games, is 18 years old. Sejuani Maokai Vai, 38% of his champion usage. In mid lane, you have Tuts. Tuts is ranked second in his role based off of this stat line. Had a 4.3 KDA and a 70.8 KP. He was very involved in FURIA's kills. That's a very high kill participation. Over 2 out of every 3 kills, the mid laner's involved in. They're fighting around him. They're fighting around the bot side as well. Clearly, this team was a squad that more so fought as a team and not necessarily sporadically around the rift trying to make things happen. It was more so, hey, let's fight around objectives, let's team fight, etc. So an 8.6 CS per minute, pretty low. Not a lot of resources, for him. It was given to other players on the team. As a result, had a 5.2 share differential. Dealt a lot of damage relative to what the team was giving him in gold. So the low farm, low resources, well, hell, he still dealt 5% more damage share. So let's just say roughly, just for basic stuff, like 5.2, I mean, hell, roughly 21.8% of gold and still 27% of damage, like something like that, which is a big difference. He's packing a punch. 1.7 ROI. 265 gold ahead, 2.72 vision efficiency, 17 champions in 53 games, second in his role, 22 years old. Ari Oriana, 42% of his champion usage. Ayu in the 80 carry role, ranked first in his role, which is going to really upset some people because honestly, I'm a big Brantz guy. I don't hide the fact that I think Brantz is a really damn good player. Cheeton, obviously, a very good player. And then, you have Root, who just, Korean import, just doing his thing and just being very good at a lower level of play than where he started his career. So it's going to be like, well, really, IU is, some people probably have IU in the bottom half, but statistically, he was strong last season. And he is better than a lot of people give him credit for. And he's only 19 years old, too, which is part of this. 4.8 KDA, 72.5 KP, 9.2 CS per minute, very involved, almost 3 out of every 4 kills. 4.7 share differential, 1.68 ROI, so almost the same as Tuts. So maybe Tuts end up having maybe, a 1A, 1B situation in terms of damage share between these two. 320 gold ahead, 2.67 ROI, 16 champions, 53 games, 19 years old. Zeri, Varus, Ezreal, 43% of his games played. JoJo, the oldest player on the team, 26 years old, played with them last year, and as represented in his stats. He's ranked second in his role, 4.2 KDA, 76 KP. So over 3 out of every 4 kills. And we talked about this in the Flux, was it the FlyQuest video that I just did? Yeah, I just did the FlyQuest video. And we saw that Buzio and Masu both had very similar kill participations, and it was in the 60s, which indicated to me, hey, this team's fighting around the rift and not necessarily with the bot lane as much as other teams. This squad, clearly the bot lane's involved, and it's certain that JoJo is a driving force to what this team did last season. Negative 5.3 share differential, so we just look at this real fast, 4.6. We're 4.3 in the positive for share differential, and we combine these numbers roughly. Just quick glance, could be off by a couple decimals or whatever, but in the positive is important. That means we have players that are very efficient for their team. They're going to pack a punch with what their team gives them. They know how to utilize their gold well. In the damage department. Now, maybe you also can argue, well, then, if we have too many cooks in the kitchen, who's going to take that back seat? Who's going to be the weak side player on this team and say, hey, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to deal damage in this game. I'm going to be the guy that's playing tank. So that's something we have to also consider. 0.85 ROI, which is very good. That's very high for support. So he dealt quite a bit of damage. 100 gold at 15 minutes. So what do we have here? 420. What we have? 585, 685, 840. This team, on average, if you add up their laning stats, over 1,000 gold ahead. That's another thing. Reason why I like this team a lot. It indicates to me that, hey, these guys in lane get ahead, and getting ahead is quite a bit of the battle. If you can get ahead and know how to play out the mid to late game with your lead, you win the game. So, that's something. I mean, hell, we got some teams that are behind at 15 minutes and they flip a team fight and they can out team fight the opponent. Sure, that's great. But when you have young players that are mechanically very gifted, like, for instance, Tatu or Ayu, as the game goes along and team fights come along and they get more experience with the intricacies of the game and the macro of the game, they're only going to get better. And that's going to play out in their mid to late games. 1.97 vision score per minute. Vision score per ward placed. 17 champions, 64 games. Second in his role, 26 years old. Nautilus Rel Leona, 52% of his champion usage. Least diverse champion usage on the team, which is not too bad at 52%. There are some teams that are all above 50%, where their players clearly play the same champions time and time again and are very predictable. Where I think, it's very important to have players that aren't, if you make it harder on the other team, diversify your champion pool. I think that's important. Think Card is the coach. He was NRG's coach, 2023 Worlds, as well as I believe the year after. Over his career in entirety, based on how he's accredited on Leaguepedia, being on rosters as a coach, he's 91 and 110 in the regular season in Tier 1, which is a 45% win rate, and 4 and 10 at Worlds for a 29% win rate. All four of those wins with 2023 NRG. He was also coach of that Clutch Gaming squad that went 0 and 6 in 2019, I believe it was. So we'll see what happens. I think this roster is going to surprise people. Is it necessarily going to be first? I mean, stats say yes. I doubt it. But I think they're going to be upper half, and hell, I think they could crack that top 3 and really, really shock some people. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.